Hi guys, it's Sunday. I'm going to read you, I'm fixing my hair. I'm going to read you 21 and 22 today because they're super short. And we know from chapter 20 that they're preparing to have a family dinner to celebrate Abuela's life because she had passed away. So we have Arturo and his mom. And then they're going to be like prepping for this big family dinner. So chapters 21 and 22 today. We are almost done with this book. Dang it. Ugh, whatever. So here we go. Chapter 21, Memory Games. The next morning, my mom came in to wake me up before my Hulk alarm went off. Up, 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 she said. But I just rolled over and buried my head in the sheets. Arturo, vamos. I want to get to the restaurant and make a list of the things we need to buy. But you said we should take this week to chill. I popped my head out momentarily while my mom tapped my leg. Yes, and one of the things Abuela would have wanted was for you and me to cook a wonderful meal together for the entire community. So we need a plan. I dragged myself out of bed. Here, my mom said, handing me a chef coat. Abuela had this made for you. The coat had my initials on it. When did Abuela do this? I told her I wasn't sure if you wanted to cook or that you were even ready yet. But you know your Abuela, stubborn and insistent. She was right, and that made me smile. I got ready and followed my mom into the kitchen. My dad handed us 2 egg sandwiches and gave my mom a to-go cup of what smelled like café con leche. Can I get one of those? I asked, because there's nothing better than sweet Colombian coffee with warm condensed milk in the morning. It's like regular coffee's fun-loving cousin. My dad raised his eyebrow at me as he slid another to-go cup across the counter. I sipped it, and my senses heightened. Ah, yes, I was ready for the day. When we arrived at the restaurant, my mom got out of the car to place a black bow on the door. Un crespon, she said, tying it around one of the handles. It's how businesses remember the departed. We put up a sign outside saying that Abuela had passed away. Reading it made me feel as horrible as when my mom had come into my room to tell me right after it happened. We got back into the car, and Mom motioned for me to take out the notepad and pencil she always kept in the glove compartment, so I could take notes as she dictated the menu. We went to every local farm and vendor and ordered all kinds of fresh ingredients. Every place we visited had the same reaction to the news about Abuela. Manny, the farmer we bought our fruits and vegetables from, held my mom for like 10 minutes. He gave us all the produce we needed and didn't charge us. I will be there on Sunday, Dona Caridad, with my children and grandchildren. Manny wasn't the only one who contributed to Abuela's memorial dinner. Alfredo and Melinda Ortega, our butchers, gave us all the chicken, beef, and pork my dad's pickup truck could carry. And then they followed us to the restaurant and delivered more. Dona Veronica was the first restaurant who picked our humble farm over the larger chains. The gratitude we have for her can never be repaid. It was amazing to see an entirely different group of people express their love and appreciation for Abuela. I never thought about the farms and businesses the restaurant bought supplies from and the people who owned those businesses. She didn't care that it was a little more expensive, my mom told me. She wanted to support her neighbors. Your Abuela was ahead of the game. She invented farm to table. All week was like that. Hugs, tears, and lots of donations for the memorial. And the best part was, I didn't hear anyone talking about Wilfredo or People Place anymore. I think Wilfredo noticed because he mentioned Abuela's passing in a newspaper interview. When Aunt Tootie read the article, she reached a new level of hysterics I hadn't known existed. The week went by fast. In between planning for the memorial, my mom made good on her promise. We all spent time together doing things Abuela enjoyed. The only part I really didn't like was when my dad came home with Abuela's urn. I felt a lump in my throat and couldn't believe Abuela was stuck in that vase forever. Carmen suggested we scatter her ashes, and I agreed it was a good idea. But we might get in trouble, I said. So, what are they going to do? Make us scoop the ashes back into the urn? I laughed. She had a point. Wilfredo Pipo tried to reach out to Mom, but that didn't go very well for him. She almost slammed the door in his face a few times, and I think he finally realized that he wasn't invited to the memorial dinner. That's not very neighborly of you, Ms. Chef. We're not neighbors, my mom said coolly. You don't live in this neighborhood. Plus, I know you only want to come as a publicity stunt. Wilfredo cursed and said we'd be sorry after the vote. It was strange, but Wilfredo's empty threat didn't bother me. The whole week was a love fest for Abuela, and nothing could make those good feelings go away. Not even when I found out that the Martí photograph Carmen and I had found in Abuela's apartment wasn't real. Mop's dad said it was a very convincing look-alike, but the photo just wasn't old enough, and Martí had never stopped in Canal Grove. When I gave my mom the photo and told her the bad news, her reaction surprised me. Oh, I remember this. Your aunt and uncle and I were just kids, she said. Abuelo dressed up as Jose Martí one year and read poems during dinner at the restaurant. It was so much fun. She hugged me and ran her fingers through my hair. Then she grabbed my face and kissed my forehead. Told you it was short. Chapter 22, Slicing and Dicing. Sunday had finally come, and my mom and I got to La Cocina really early to start prepping for Abuela's big memorial later that night. The other cooks and chefs, including Martín, were scheduled to come in a little later, so my mom and I were at the restaurant alone. Ready? My mom asked. It was weird that the restaurant was totally empty, because someone was always in there. My mom hit the code for the alarm, and I flipped the lights on in the kitchen. The gas stoves flared up. My mom brought out kitchen knives and placed the assorted ingredients on the prep station. We're going to cook all of Abuela's best dishes, she said, sharpening her knife and motioning for me to grab my apron. I gulped. My mom handed me an onion, a pepper, some plantains, cilantro, carrots, shallots, and something that looked like an onion. That's chayote, Arturo. We're going to saute it, but you need to julienne it first. Do the same thing with the carrots, and make sure to wash the onion with cold water before you cube it. Then go to the walk-in and pull out the veal stock. It needs to get to room temperature to make the broth for the oxtail. My head spun. Chef Mom continued, Don't cut the platanos, though. But do peel the boniato and place them in the pot over there. It will be boiling, so don't throw them in. The last thing I need is for you to burn yourself. The oxtail is in the walk-in. Bring it to me when you're done. I stared. Quick, Kay, she snapped. What is julienne again? Julienne, Arturo, julienne. It's slicing long ways and thin, like this. She shredded the little orange stick monsters into pieces with her furious chopping. If my mom wasn't a chef, she could have been a samurai. She grabbed a tray full of little chickens and started hacking them in half with a butcher knife that was so big it looked like it belonged to Conan the Barbarian. We're going to make guinea hens, my mom said, cracking them in half in one stroke. She could have easily taken out an army of chickens if they ever attacked her. I stared at the different colored vegetables in front of me. I had already forgotten what I needed to do. Arturo, are you cutting the vegetables? Yes, I said, because a 5-foot, 5-inch lady with a butcher knife the size of her forearm was very intimidating. My mom moved frantically around the kitchen, prepping and chopping and smelling the cazuelas starting to bubble on the burners. It was impressive. Abuela and I used to cook together, but her pace was much slower, at least with me. From the time I was 6, I stayed with her on Saturday nights while my parents went out, and together we prepped for Sunday family dinner. She would chop vegetables, and I would peel potatoes. Together we made soups and sauces and all kinds of cool stuff. Every Saturday night, her apartment filled with the heavenly smells of saffron, yerba buena, cilantro, and perejil. Perejil? That was our tradition until she got sick and my mom took over the dinner. She preferred to handle everything herself. I started chopping and peeling and julienning, and then I realized I was crying. My eyes were burning, and they wouldn't stop. I rubbed them, and they stung more, and my nose started dripping. Before I could reach for a towel, my mom wiped my face with a warm cloth. "Mom, my eyes are burning." I splashed cold water on my face and wiped myself with a towel. I tried to refocus when I saw my mom crouched over the sink next to me. "Mom, you okay?" I regained my vision and saw that she was letting water from the faucet slowly run through her fingers. Her head was bowed like she wanted to put it under the faucet as well. "Mom?" She looked up, revealing red and puffy eyes. "Did the onion get you, too?" I asked. She let out a laugh that sounded more like an exhalation, and her lower lip started to shake. It wasn't an onion. My mom was crying. I handed her the towel, and she dipped it in running water and ran it over her face. "Gracias, mi amor," she said, as she hung the towel over her shoulder. "It's been so hard. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to worry about this. Come on, let's finish, okay?" My mom put both hands on her face and stretched her cheeks. It was the first time I had ever seen her like that. She went over to the lobster stock and poured it through a sieve to sift the chunky bits out and pour only liquid in the pot. Then we placed it in another pot and put it back on the burner. I turned the knob, and the flames sparked before calming. The pot steamed slightly. My mom asked me to grab the fish and clams and mussels out of the walk-in to make seafood paella. I looked up to see the vent twirling. It sent out freezing air, and if I reached my hand up, I could feel my hands turn icy. How awesome would it be if I had the power to turn things into ice? I could have frozen the stupid disease that had slowly messed up Abuela's lungs. I could have frozen my mom's tears. I stepped out of the walk-in carrying the tub of seafood and then slapped the tub onto the metal table. My mom hunched over the lobster stock, and I saw a locket dangle from her neck. The shiny little cross and oval-shaped pendant swayed as if a tiny wind blew them together. My mom smelled the stock, and I listened to the silver cross lightly chime with the pendant. It was Abuela's. That is 21 and 22. See you tomorrow, which is Monday for I don't know how much, but we are almost done. So, see you guys.